Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Happy Friday, late afternoon, early evening, whenever it is that you're actually going to see this. I hope you've had a good day. I hope the day has treated you well and you look forward to a belter of a weekend. You all deserve it. You worked hard. I know you did. And if you're going to the gym, make sure you work hard there as well. We are talking a little bit around towards what Spurs are looking at for the summer. Now, this is a really key thing because I'm also going to coincide some financial fair play and how, look, we haven't got an issue, but other teams do. And Spurs are in a position to exploit said positions. So we'll talk about that. I just want to say, if you're new, subscribe. You're very much welcome to join us for the journey. And let's chat. Let's get a good old chat on what Spurs want. It came from Paul O'Keefe. And he said that Tottenham want to bring in another centre-back, a midfielder, and attacker this summer. That's the plan. Spurs are very relaxed and have their set ideas. They know who they want to bring in and who they want to sell. And that's a key thing. I think, look, Ange's now had a good run of months now where he's seen all the guys in training. He kind of knows what's going to work, what's not going to work, who's going to work, who's not going to work. And I think, the fact that Sessegnon had interest this window going on loan, he could be on the chopping block. Brian Hill having that interest, being available to transfer, he's on the chopping block. I'd probably say Richarlison's taken a jump back from the chopping block, but, if he was to fall right out of form, back on the chopping block. Excuse me. Giovanni Celso, potentially on the chopping block. Pierre Højbjerg, potentially on the chopping block. Oliver Skip, potentially on the chopping block. You want to talk about financial fair play? He's one that you can cash in or make a big deal of. If you have a look at the rest of the team, is Emerson potentially on the chopping block? Potentially. Like I said, Sessegnon, is Ben Davies still going to be here? He's starting to get on now into his 30s. Is he still going to be here next summer? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Don't forget that. It's also the players out on loan, the Regulons, the Rodens, the Ndombeles. It's those guys out on loan that Spurs might go, they're on the chopping block as well. Now, don't get me wrong, there's guys out on loan that aren't on the chopping block. Alejo Velises, for example. But, let's work with what we're going to work with. So Spurs, I think, are going to have a bit of a clear out this summer. I think you're going to see, my guess would be a Tanganga, a Roden, a Regulon, an Ndombele, a Højbjerg, Brian Hill. I've only got one hand to count, sorry. I'm on 6 at the moment. Brian Hill. Just having to think of who else may or may not go. Jed Spence, it's another one. So look, 7 to 10 players, I think you could expect Spurs to move on. Genuinely think you could expect them to move on. Roden's going to be gone. Roden's got a market. He'd easily get sold in the summer. Tanganga does all right. He'll get sold in the summer. Good for our financial fair play. Højbjerg, I think we all think he's probably moving on in the summer. Brian Hill, I expect to kind of move on. Sessegnon, we'll see what he's got. He's got a good few months now to show Ange that he can actually play in Ange's system. But if not, that's another one you could be adding to that chopping block. So there's a lot there, really, to work with. The fact that Spurs want a centre-back, a midfielder and attacker this summer, I don't think it's going to shock anyone. Centre-back, we've got 3 main guys and then we've got some spare parts. We could do with another one. When you look into the attack, I think they're probably looking at a number 9 more than most things. I think Werner's come in. He's played pretty well. He's pretty good in the last time out against Brentford. I think Johnson, he's still young. They're going to put a lot into that. Kulusevski's still rocking. Son's still there. Solomon. You got Richie, you got Veliz, you got Scarlett, but I expect at least one of those 2 lads to be going out on loan. Maybe it's Santiago to going out on loan. I think they're probably looking at a number 9. That's my guess. But the midfield's the interesting one because I think, look, we've talked about Conor Gallagher, we've talked about Adam Wharton, we've talked about Hayden Hackney, we've talked about a lot of players in the midfield. Edison at Atlanta. And the key thing I wanted to bring up here was I found it on through Centre. Actually, it came from TalkSport. TalkSport have been getting a lot of financial fair play experts in to talk about it because I think it's really prevalent. The reason the January transfer window was so poor is everyone was so worried about financial fair play. And it said that Chelsea could be in danger of breaching financial fair play rules unless they make over £100 million. Chelsea have been told they could fall foul of breaching financial fair play rules unless they raise £100 million by selling homegrown stars. So let me sort of explain it. Who's a player they spent money on? Nicholas Jackson, I think they spent 35 million on. Now, they might have a 5-year deal with Nicholas Jackson and they're going to spread that money out over that period. So if they sold him, that works out, I think it's a 7 million a year, right? If in the summer they sold him for 20 million, they're actually making a loss on him, obviously. 20 million, they've only paid off 7, there's 28 million or whatever it is, discrepancy, they're making a loss on them. So when you look at your homegrown stars, if you sell Conor Gallagher, Reece James, they're the big two, right? If you were to sell 50 million each, that's 100 million guaranteed. That's 100 million guaranteed. If you were to sell Nicholas Jackson 20 million, you're not making 20 million against financial fair play. So Chelsea in a really rough spot. And they do also need to do this by the end of June. The reason Nottingham Forest are kind of in trouble is because they wanted to sell Johnson before the end of June and he didn't move to Brentford. He moved to us after that period. So that's what they want to do. Now, the fact of the matter is, teams also know that you need to sell. Teams also know that you need to ship off players. And because of that, they're not going to do you a favour. They're going to do themselves a favour. So Spurs are probably going to go in there and go, that Conor Gallagher looks good. Or you need to sell. How's 30 million sound? And they're going to go, you joking, we want 50. And Spurs are going, oh, I tell you what, it's June 23rd. We'll probably have a conversation in a few days' time, see how you feel. Spurs are going to, unless someone comes in and goes, here's 50 million. Chelsea in a really rough spot here. And that's why I will predict Conor Gallagher will be a Spurs player in the summer. I've been hot on this for a while, and I think a lot of people are going, why would he move here? He's a Chelsea boy. And I totally get that if financial fair play wasn't such a big deal. But unfortunately, he is one of the main guys they have actual value. And there's a reason I wanted to sell Brozier, but they couldn't get the money for him because of the situation of financial fair play. Poch had been talking about Brozier being a new Harry Kane. Well, they had to sell him, or at least loan him out to make some money against financial fair play. Conor Gallagher is the one that has real value because someone will buy him for 40 million. But if you need to raise 100 million, you could look at potentially Reece James being sold. You would probably look at Thiago Silva being let go to save on his wages. You'll look at a lot of players in that squad will be on the chopping block. And I mean a lot. And they won't be making a ton of money on some people, but it'll be something to relieve the stresses of financial fair play. That's the key thing. These big £100 million deals, which look exciting, have negative effects. So that's why if you look at Spurs spending 70, 80 million, it's just not going to happen because Spurs are trying to work against financial fair play in a way that in the long run gives them that exploitation of other teams. E.g. Everton, E.g. Forest, E.g. Chelsea. They're trying to exploit other teams because Spurs are in such a good place financial fair play wise. Yes, you have the stadium debt, but the stadium also kind of pays for itself, so it's not really a concern. Spurs have got record revenues. They're the richest team now in London with these sort of things. They're going to use all of these things against teams who don't have that benefit, who don't have that freedom. Spurs went to Manchester United and goes, tell you what, Marcus Rashford, really like him. Now, I would never want Spurs to get Marcus Rashford personally. Wouldn't suit what we're trying to do. But if they did, and Manchester United really needed to sell, Spurs would know that. Spurs aren't going to help and give the money that Manchester United think they deserve for Rashford. They're going to try and bring this money all the way down and make you sweat. And the fact of the matter is, if you need to sell by the end of June, Spurs go, we're in no rush. We'll get him in July. And in July, that's too late. You're in trouble. So Chelsea are on the brink right now of financial fair play sanctions. I don't think it's going to be relegations. But, you might have transfer embargoes. You might have a points deduction. So there's something to work on there. Some key thing there. Attacker-wise, look, people have been mentioning Vlahovic. He's not my cup of tea personally. I'll say it. I don't think he's done well enough at Juventus to warrant... they spent, 70 odd million pounds on him. I don't think he's done well enough to really warrant me wanting us to spend that sort of money on him. Jimenez, good player, but he's not in the top 5 leagues, so I totally get that argument. He's also going to cost sort of 40, 50 million pounds. It's a big money it's not a risk, but there's potential that if he doesn't work out, you have a financial fair play issue there. Obviously, attacker-wise, Jonathan David at Lille potentially is an option. I don't really know what Spurs are going to do attacker-wise, but I think that's where they go striker. Defender-wise, look, I think they go Lloyd Kelly because he's cheap. And financial fair play, that's a deal worth like 40 million in financial fair play terms. He's a starting centre-back in the Premier League. England, he could be a potential England international in the future, but he's free. he's not going to cost crazy wages or signing on fee. That is a no-brainer deal in Spurs' eyes. That's why I think they go Lloyd Kelly. That's why they're so interested in Tosin Adarabioyo, you know, and potentially that's something they might go, I don't know. Into the middle field, that's why I think I see Gallagher. And I think they're going to go 40 to 50 million on Gallagher. I think they go free on Kelly, and I think they go and spend about 40 to 50 in the attack, sell some players, and then work with what they want to work with. Maybe make some tweaks here and there. Because you'll think, Perisic is gone, Dyer's gone, Lloris is gone. These are big wages they're saving every single month. You're talking about, if they move off of Brian Hill, move off of Sessegnon, move off of Tanganga, they move off Højbjerg, they move off Giovanni Celso. They need to get another midfielder if they do that, by the way, I would say. But they move off all these start to move off these players, and you start to go, God, we raise easily 100 million here. And you start to go, oh, financial fair play is our friend again. Because you can start to see the teams getting more and more crippled by it, and Spurs going, we'll take that player off you, but we're going to take him off. We're going to take him for 70% of what you thought you were going to get. So I know it's not a bit of a different one. There's no exact name on Spurs as who they were going to get. I think Gallagher's probably a safe shout who they're going to want, because Ange likes him. We all know that, and that's been reported as well. But I want to know your thoughts and feelings about this situation, how Spurs are in a position of power, but also who you think they're going to go for and why. I want to know a little bit more, And when you do comment, I always comment back. You know me, I always want to have a chat. I want to feel like I'm learning as much as you're learning. But yeah, anyway, like the video if you did enjoy it. Drop me in the comment, like I said. Subscribe if you're new and hit the bell notification for more. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, guys.